Hello, this is Todd Nessa from Godly America, and it's been on my heart for the last 3 days to put a video together that would deal with the birth certificate issue and kind of pull a bunch of things in together into one video. And what we're looking here at is, first of all, this is a Godly America post, and the story is Obama's 1991 pamphlet declares him to be born in Kenya. Now, the interesting thing about this pamphlet, which somebody found using the Wayback Machine, which is an internet machine where you can go back and see cached internet posts from previous years, there's no mistaking why they're wanting total control over the internet, just for that reason alone right there. But this is from President Obama's own publicists for his own books, his literary agents, and what they used right up until April 2007, where he began his run for President of the United States. So we can see here it says Barack Obama, the first African American president of the Harvard Law Review, was born in Kenya and raised in Indonesia and Hawaii. And there we go. And down here we have just a little bit of commentary from Alex Jones, which we'll kind of listen to here for a moment.
Huge breaking news. We have a publication that Barack Obama put out where he was bragging that he was born in Kenya. We have his wife on video twice saying it. I wasn't a birther 4.5 years ago. It was the Hillary Clinton campaign that first put that out, because they had a dossier on him, and the Clintons are famous for having all the old files from when Clinton was president. They still basically run much of Washington. But Hillary was bringing that out, I later learned, because it was true. Now, when she was defeated by him, she joined with him. But there's been big breaking news, ladies and gentlemen. It's on drudgereport.com right now. It's on Breitbart. Barack Obama, the first African-American president of the Harvard Law Review, was born in Kenya and raised in Indonesia and Hawaii. That's actually what the research shows. And what is this from? It is from a book promotion put out by his literary agent that Barack Obama approved of. The vetting exclusive Obama's literary agent 91 booklet, born in Kenya, raised in Indonesia.
Now I'm going to pause it right there, and I'm going to move ahead in this video. Andrew Breitbart, of course, was well, I believe he was murdered. Matter of fact, I believe very conclusively he was murdered back on March 1st. He was getting ready to come out with some very damning information in regards to President Obama. And from what I've heard from Alex Jones and from others, is that information had to do with both his ties to the Weather Underground and also his Kenyan birth. Unfortunately, even though they put out some phony video, that information has never been released. And to probably the shame of Andrew Breitbart, when you see a lot of information on there, they put disclaimers that Andrew Breitbart was never a birther and so on and so forth. Makes me wonder actually if the FBI is actually posting the information or forcing them to post the information. And a case in point would be something recently I learned about the Kennedy assassination. Right after, a lady had published a story in one of the Dallas newspapers, and when she read her story, there was this disclaimer in there about the gunshot wound to the head. And she said, well, where did this come from? She called the paper and asked them, and they told her that the FBI had required them that they put that information in there. So, not outside the realm of possibility. I'm sure a lot of these Breitbarters had some serious threats and are probably scared. They're all trying to claim they're not birthers today. Okay, so that's one thing. There's another thing here about the Muslim Brotherhood. and this is dealing not so much on the birther issue, so I really won't get into that too much. Although how it would relate is simply that he was raised in Indonesia, and on his official documents there, it lists that he was a Muslim. So, official documents being his, I don't know, I guess, I don't know if it'd be the equivalent of passport. I'm not really sure, and don't want to spend the time going into that. But that will lead into this here. Since I'm going on this rabbit trail, I will stay on it here just a while longer. Check this out. It's from an interview back in during the presidential run of
calls himself Barack Hussein
08.
Obama. What's his religion? And should I vote for him this November? I can't answer the last question for you, but after doing some thorough research, I can answer the first two. His legal name in Indonesia
Here
is
we go.
Barry Soetoro, as shown on this document, recorded at the school he attended.
This is the document I was referring to.
It would have been unlawful in Indonesia to record any but his full legal name on this document. So as far as we know, to this day, in Indonesia, Barry Soetoro remains his legal name.
And where
Barry,
Barack Hussein
or
Obama
Barack
comes from.
Hussein, if you will, attended a Catholic school in
Is that the
Indonesia,
million-dollar question?
which was required by law to instruct him in the religion of Islam.
So he was trained in Islam.
Pengusaha batubara ini tak mau mengubah desain bangunan rumah tersebut. Kamar Barack Obama misalnya, tetap dibiarkan seperti semula. Obama pernah berpose di samping lemarinya itu.
Kipas anginnya ininya semua masih asli.
Here's a close-up of the document we showed you earlier. From the school in which Barry, or Barack Hussein, was instructed in Islam.
We have to have bugs.
The law of Indonesia, unlike that of the United States, does not allow for dual citizenship. Therefore, we can see clearly from this document that Barry, or Barack Hussein, was only a citizen of Indonesia and not of the United States. Since Indonesia does not allow proselytizing from one religion to the next, we can also see that Barry was a member of the religion of Islam, and as such would have been instructed in Islam by the school he attended.
John McCain has not talked about my Muslim faith, and you're absolutely right that that is not something.
I gotta watch that again here. Now that's what I really wanted to key in
By
on.
the school he attended.
Listen to this again.
Talked about my Muslim faith, and you're absolutely right that that is not something.
Now let me say something there, that this was shot when he was on the campaign trail. When they're on the campaign trail, these guys get really, really tired, so a lot of times they make these slips and the truth comes out. To me, in watching this video, that was one of those moments where he was just tired, he was wore down from campaigning, where you spend numerous hours without sleep. Okay, back to some more birth certificate stuff, and I've got probably about not a whole lot of time here, and I'm not sure if I'll be able to get this all on this one video. Here on this post, I've got some recent stuff where the Secretary of State in Arizona was going to remove Obama from the ballot for like 8 weeks. He couldn't get a simple email from the state of Hawaii to corroborate that he was born in Hawaii. And my daughter was just telling me, I think this morning or yesterday, that finally they had come through with something, which I'm sure leaves you wondering. This right here is from the Cold Case Posse, which is Sheriff Arpaio's group that are working so hard. They're not taxpayer funded. It was set up to be paid by with just donations, and you can see here in the video some really interesting information. And the man we're looking at right here, who's going to be giving this information out, who works with the Cold Case Posse, is a seasoned investigator. Let's listen in.
Going forward, I told you that I would share some things that the sheriff has given me permission to. We were expecting at the press conference, before we get to even something more shocking, this selective service card, we were expecting the press to start taking apart our analysis. They didn't. The first shots they came out with was trying to take shots at the sheriff. I was flabbergasted. I had never experienced anything like this. And I want to tell you a quick story about the sheriff. This is the kind of guy, this is why I volunteer my time for him. He called me up a couple of weeks before this was going to go, and he goes, "Mike, Sheriff." I go, "Yeah, I know." I have this badge that says Sheriff on my phone. I know when it's him. He goes, "I want you to know something. I don't want you to lose any sleep over this." He says, "Even if you screw this up, even if you're wrong, I've got your back." That was big. I told him, number one, we can't be wrong. And I also told him I would not quit until this was finished. My team will not quit until this is finished. Part of doing an investigation is the corroboration of evidence. In other words, if somebody tells you something here, you got to go out and find another source that can confirm that or get close to it or validate it in some fashion. Well, I have about 5 experts that we are using. And they come from different disciplines, different backgrounds. Some are great with electronic files, other document experts, typesetters, experts, typesetters, experts, typesetters.
Oops.
I'm going to share with you some of the other things that we found on the surface. I asked Sheriff Arpaio to consider another press conference enabling us to go deeper into what we found, and that's up for his consideration now. Just a little pressure there, boys. The typewriter evidence, the typewritten fonts that you see, a typewriter will always place its fonts equally apart. That doesn't happen on this document. The letter spacing is uneven. The word spacing is uneven on many lines. The line spacing varies 1 to 3 points, being either too long or too short. This information is obtained from a typesetter who, for his lifetime career, was typesetting things as terrible as math books. You have to know what you're doing to typeset a math book. I'm sure I doodled in a couple of his in my day. There is the distinct possibility, and we're looking into it a little further, that the registrar stamp may not have even been done by the official metal embossing stamp that it should.
Alrighty, here for sake of time, we're going to go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and pause this here and start on a second video. So please go ahead, make sure you follow me to part 2, and we'll go into this further. Thank you. This is Todd Nessa from Godly America. See you on part 2.